Welcome back to the Slow Burn After Hours. We're on the quickest turnaround of the 2022 NBA Finals. So who better than to discuss this on short notice than Jimmy Daukas, a return guest on the show, also my dad. So Jimmy, thanks for joining us again. When we did this, whatever it was, earlier last week, I had the Warriors in 7 games. You had the Warriors in 6 games. Boston takes a 2-1 series lead with that big game 3 win. What was your biggest takeaway from that Celtics victory?
My biggest takeaway is Boston did exactly what they needed to do. They came out tenacious. They defended their territory. They, were not going to let Warriors push them around in the Garden. And I think they did exactly what they needed to do. Came out really, really strong. And then they fought and battled the whole time. And I think it's a turning point for the Celtics. I mean, I think that mentally they know that they can win this series now because of game 3.
I think it was also, from my perspective, the best game of the series. There have been exciting moments in game 1 and game 2, but in game 2, you have that 35-14 discrepancy in the third quarter. Game's essentially over after that. So I thought that this was the best game that we have seen, both of us, even though we had a 1-game difference. We thought this is going 6 or 7 games. So this is the type of game that you need to keep a series going this long. Now, each team has traded victories. Were you surprised that the Celtics responded after losing game 2 in the fashion that they did?
I wasn't surprised. I imagine most people weren't surprised. I think the most surprising thing and the most rewarding for the Celtics is their third quarter finish. Right. The Warriors always have a great third quarter, the best third quarter team in the playoffs. But the Celtics sort of weathered that and came out and did well enough in the third quarter to position themselves to win the game. And again, that's got to give them a lot of confidence because the Warriors were playing real hard. They were hitting shots. They, closed the gap, and the Celts, withstood it. And by the end of the third quarter, we're still actually looking pretty good.
When the Warriors go on that run, and it's a 6-0 run, then it's a 9-0 run, then I think it's a 12-0 run, and the Warriors even retake the lead. That was one of those where that crazy crowd got silent. We were watching it at a sports bar, and everyone was just laughing because it's the same thing that we've seen the Warriors do since 2015. They're down by double digits, and then in the blink of an eye, they're back in it. But I think you said something that I totally agree with earlier in this physicality. After that game 2, where the Warriors kind of punked them in the third quarter, they out physicaled them. If that's a word, Draymond Green was flexing his muscles. And game 3, the Celtics seemed to, I don't know if it was Ime or whomever in that locker room, said this isn't going to happen again. And we talked about him before, but Robert Williams has been so impressive. I mean, he's jumping all over the place. He's playing great defense. And like you said, they just seemed, the Celtics, that is, just so locked in. And Marcus Smart, again, playing his butt off against Steph Curry. I think one thing that I was reading about, the Celtics were, when they were on offense, they were trying to get Steph Curry matched up with them on defense every single time they could, putting him down in the post, on pick and rolls, whatever, because Steph has been playing out of his mind. Steph has been doing what he needs to do. And I'm kind of jumping a couple questions so we can get to it in a sec. But when the Warriors don't get production from a second or third guy, it's really hard because Steph is doing all he can. And then you see when Draymond struggles and when Poole isn't carrying the load that he has been doing through the regular season, it's tough for them to win.
Yeah, I think that, and Clay stepped up, so you have to say that, but you need more than 2 players to win in the finals when you're playing against a good balanced team like the Celtics. I mean, the Warriors can do this, right? I mean, we'll be back after game 4 when it's 2-2 going, damn, the Warriors look really, really good, right? Because when they hit their shots and they, one question is going to be, are they as healthy as, is Steph a little hurt or a little, slowed or something like that? But if Poole plays better, and they hit a couple of shots, we could be talking all about different issues here about how the Warriors closed it out and grabbed one in the Garden.
A quick one before we get to our final question.
Yeah.
Did the first 3 games change your kind of prediction? Because for me, just game 3, I think there's a world in which they could come out in game 4 and the Celtics could roll. And then suddenly we're looking at 3-1. Now, this is the biggest cop out of all, but I totally agree with you. We could come out and the Warriors could respond and then it's 2-2. But the Celtics clearly have enough talent and are not fazed by the bright lights. They also don't seem to be as ruffled as other opponents have been by a Draymond Green kind of getting under their skin. I mean, they have to be going back for game 4 thinking, hey, we can win this. There is no doubt in our minds. Last question, we'll keep it short, but the biggest hot button topic coming out of game 3 was a couple of the Warriors players, including head coach Steve Kerr, commented on the Celtics crowd kind of crossing a line, or they said, oh, it was real classy in reference to some FU Draymond chants and some chants that were going on. From my perspective, Boston historically has shown across all sports, whether it's the Red Sox, the Patriots, the Celtics, they have crossed the line in some really problematic ways, which would make you think that this is possible. They have a reputation. I think they deservedly have a reputation for being one of the maybe more hostile, rude fan bases. However, saying that the F word is some specific line, just with this specific game 3, I think to me is a little garbage. I think it's the NBA Finals, and a lot of stuff gets said that is kind of par for the course. So to me, it's making much ado about nothing. How about you?
If we wanted to keep it real short, I'll just say I agree. I mean, seriously, it's just like, one word, I think it's diversion. I mean, it's Steve Kerr, I think, being a coach and trying to get people to think about other stuff. His team didn't play well. And it was an important game 3, and they were close. And when they were doing it in the third quarter, they had the opportunity to steal that game and really change the series. And, you want to talk about another thing, it's not the fans. Let's talk about the refereeing. I mean, there's lots of other issues that, I don't think that the fans are making any difference. And there's so many egregious fans when they threw banana peels on the court when Patrick Ewing was playing. Now that's crossing a line. Saying F you to the other player, that's pretty common. We may not like it, but that isn't changing the outcome of the game.
I agree. We've run out of time. Thank you for joining us on short notice. We will be back here after game 4, game 5. Until then, thanks, Jimmy.
Look forward to it.